This is Dan with Cafe Red Point.
Yes.
Hey, so I'm Dan, I'm the founder of Cafe Red Point. It's my dream to have cafes up and down the Front Range ready to go nationwide in the next 5 years. Health and fitness, that's always been some of the most important parts of my life. I grew up in Maryland, about 15 minutes outside of DC. I went to UMass Amherst for undergrad on an ROTC scholarship, so when I graduated, I went right into the Army. So if you include reserve and cadet time, I was in for over 21 years. The Army, they let me choose my last assignment, and that's when I said Colorado. I've been here for 7 years now. I started the cafe 5 years ago because what do you do when no one hires you and you can't think of anything else? You start your own business, right? Prior to starting the cafe, my restaurant experience was waiting tables in the late 90s, so it was a steep learning curve for me. However, I had the idea for the cafe since the early 2000s while I was still in. I remember after one wrestling practice, I went out with friends to get smoothies, and one of my friends is diabetic. So he takes his blood sugar after drinking the smoothie, and it comes back with this alarmingly high number, and I think to myself, what's going on? This is something that's supposed to be healthy. It's definitely marketed as healthy. Instead, you're getting diabetes in a cup. I thought to myself then, I know I can do something better than this. I get out of the Army in 2015. In 2016, I start the cafe with 3 goals. Goal number 1, I want to serve food that contributes to health and wellness. Goal number 2, I want to operate under responsible business practices, meaning create honorable employment and responsibly source. And goal number 3, develop into a repeatable, scalable model so we have more impact on those first 2 goals. My big motivation is to do something good. If we look at the 2 biggest threats facing our country that we can readily do something about, it is the wealth gap and the health crisis that stems from the industrialization of our food chain and processed food epidemic. I don't understand how so many people are content paying $5 for 15 cents worth of ingredients served by someone making minimum wage, and that product contains absolutely no nutritional value. Instead, it is leading us into diabetes and obesity. Are we really drinking dessert in a cup, or is that actually diabetes in a cup?
Diabetes. Right. We're feeling better.
I know we're being manipulated by the food industry and their food scientists who have purposely engineered the cheapest products to be the most addicting, and shame on those that are using this playbook of serving the cheapest, most addicting food in order to maximize their profits, but we need to start making better choices. Too many of us are sleepwalking towards an early and preventable death. A while back I watched a TED Talk given by an Army general, and the talk was on how we can no longer field an army like we did in World War II because we no longer have enough healthy young adults left. If we study history, we know societies have collapsed when the wealth gap has become too great. We need to get away from this Ayn Rand capitalism of my only goal is to make as much money as possible. I started the cafe because I wanted to get big. When that happens, I expect to be compensated. If it doesn't happen, Captain goes down with his ship. But I don't want to suck every penny for myself. I want to create honorable employment. I want to pay my employees. I get genuinely happy when they have good tip days. Every year we've been open, I've been able to do more for my employees and pay them more. I only see this continuing as we get bigger and make more money. In March 2021, we got our second round of PPP funds. I used this money to take everyone's salary up to at least $15 an hour plus tips. Tips have been averaging over $7 an hour, and this is the most money we've ever made. We're doing this while keeping our food costs around 37%, so we're charging a fair price for what we're serving. To put food costs in a little more perspective for those of you who are not in the restaurant industry, if you look at something simple like a plate of spaghetti and meatballs, that's going to have about $3 to $4 of food costs going into it. So if that restaurant wants to keep their food costs under 33%, they can charge $12 for that plate of food. Instead, you have some restaurants out there charging over $20 for that plate. They're putting their food costs under 20%. I assume they're also paying their employees the minimum amount required by law, all in an effort to maximize their profits. I just don't get that. Everything we serve in the cafe contributes to health and wellness. I've had a number of employees over the years tell me the healthiest they've ever been has been working in the cafe where they get their free meals and smoothies. I think the one thing that all nutritionists agree on is we need to eat more vegetables and less processed food. Everything we serve, I apologize, all of our wraps, they have over a cup of greens. Our Green Machine smoothie is our most popular. It has over a cup. Our Green Machine smoothie has over 3 cups of greens, a cup of coconut water, a cup of pineapple, tablespoon of local honey, a teaspoon piece of fresh ginger, half of a lime, and you can taste the pineapple, ginger, lime, honey all coming through in it. We use a grain-free, gluten-free Siete brand tortilla for all of our wraps. All of our beef is coming from a pastured animal that I want to believe has had a net happy life. This is something that's really important to us. Michael Pollan said the way we used to eat was to get the highest quality ingredients we can find and make them as simply as we can. This is what we're doing in the cafe, and we want to be your healthiest meal of the day. But I feel like we're fighting an economy of vice. I just don't understand how some people find and place value. Right now, everything's going well. I think maybe I'm back in that manic phase of the manic depressive cycle of small business. I think most of the time I spend in the depressive phase of the manic depressive cycle. I don't know if anybody is with me with that. But everything's going well. I want to get to a second location. I think downtown Colorado Springs by Fat Sully's Pizza would be ideal, as well as Manitou Springs, or even out by Falcon Banning Lewis Ranch with all that new construction. But I just have cold feet right now of what's happening with the economy as well as the labor market. This is still the hardest it's been to find employees, and I don't know when people get hungry to work again. I see I'm running out of time, so let me just leave you with, we're doing something good and we want to get bigger, because what the world needs right now, it is not more businesses focused on maximizing profits at all costs. What the world needs right now is more businesses focused on making the world better.
Yes.